Your mom, RVer, Highland Park, New York. Okay. Activist. What are you active on? Educate me.
I think you want to get into the weeds, and we should just do that. Like
Okay.
like I said, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and an
Okay.
activist. And as an activist, I truly believe 100% that everybody has a right to speak their mind, to gather peacefully, to, like, I think this is American. This is very American for us to protest. It's our right peacefully. So, when I heard that these former teenagers from Lake Forest High School were holding what they dubbed in their, event information as a silent vigil. They were just going to Market Square and they were going to hold signs, BLM signs. And from what I understand, they were signs that had names of people who had been killed, Black people who'd been killed by the police. They were going to go to Market Square and they were just going to hold these signs. And that's all they were going to do. They were just going to stand there peacefully holding these signs on the side of the street, and they weren't going to, the whole purpose was they were not going to say anything. So I hadn't even really heard about the event. I might have heard about it here or there, but I didn't really know much about it. But what I did hear was that this group from the militia had shown up in opposition to these kids' silent vigil. They showed up with bullhorns, huge flags, and they, as was admitted on your show, bullhorned these kids into submission, is the exact words that were used. And like, honestly, like, the mom in me is like, no, we're not going to do this. Like, these are someone's kids. You don't have to agree with them and you don't have to like what they're doing, but they're doing it peacefully. They're quietly standing there holding signs, not speaking, not saying anything. And for grown adults, we're talking 40, 50-year-old and middle-aged adults, to show up with bullhorns and get in their face. Mommy, there's a moon in town. This is my son.
Hey.
This is my son.
What up, yo?
Hi. Okay. You gonna say hi?
Hi.
Say hi. Hi, Uncle Pete.
This is my son, Bo. Hi. Okay.
Hi, Bo. Careful, you're gonna chip a tooth there.
Can you go back and can you close the door, please? You got it? Careful. Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, you can take those Lego guys. Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Love you. Okay. That's what it's like working from home, even though I'm not working right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I heard that this was happening, like, as a mom, I was like, here, let me close this door.
Yep.
The cord's stuck in there, sorry. When I heard about this happening, like, the mom in me was like, we're not doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are someone's kids, these are adults, and we're not doing it. So I went up there and I recorded the entire encounter. I was very calm. And I was just like, Rob, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Like, there was a woman there who's an elected official that was there with Rob. There was an employee from Lake Forest High School who was there with Rob, screaming at these teenage kids. And I just was like, what are you doing? Like, this is not, this is not how we interact. Like, just, if anyone brought chaos to that situation, it was the militia, the folks that came with the militia, and if anyone was classy, it was these teenagers who literally never said a word. Like, some of them started crying apparently and, like, fled, and they were very upset, but the ones who stayed were resolute and they didn't engage. They didn't talk to them. They stayed quiet. They stood there holding their signs. And really, like, the police in the city, I talked to them later, and they were all very impressed with how these teens had, like, not allowed themselves to be, like, suckered into, like, a conflict, like a confrontation. And so that's, like, how this whole thing started. And I think, and that's where I was called a terrorist. I was called a terrorist in Market Square on a bullhorn, because I went up and I was like, what are you doing? Like, what? And I think any parent would do it, I think if I was driving by and I saw kids with Trump signs and they were silently standing there holding them and they were being berated by anyone, I would pull over and be like, you know what I mean? Like, what message are we sending to kids? What are we telling kids? Like, you can have an opinion. You have the right to, like, peacefully protest. But if someone doesn't like what you're saying, they're going to get in your face with bullhorns and harass you and bullhorn you into submission. Like, what are we telling them? Do you know what I mean? Like, and you know, think like, I mean, I was a sassy teenager, so I probably would have told him like where to go. I wouldn't have been able to be quiet, but I think that a lot of teenagers would be really intimidated and really scared to have adults, you know, 40 and 50-year-olds screaming in their faces. Like, I think a lot of teenagers would not have been able to handle that, you know, and I felt that we're always talking about the village. I felt I should step up and be the village and step in and be like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to yell at teenagers. We're not going to do this. This is not how you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to do it. I'm not going to let it happen, you know? And it broke up shortly after that, and everyone went home. And I honestly believe that was the end of it. And he just continued to like egg things on, you know, like he talks about how he always leaves things out. And he talks about like how I tried to stop their parades. And here's the thing. I don't have an issue with them driving through Highland Park and having Trump parades. I don't have an issue with that at all. I had an issue, and I did try to like stop one of the parades because he was bringing the parade to my house. He printed up a flyer. He made a flyer, and it said, we're going to this house in Highland Park. And some people from his group messaged me, and they said, he's trying to get people to come to your house. Like, I'm not comfortable. This is where I'm tapping out. These are people that had been in the militia, that I had seen in the militia, that were at all of his events. And I was shocked to get messages from like these two individuals who were like, you know, whatever our differences have been over the last whatever it was, I'm not okay with him coming to your house. Like, you just saw my son. He was 4 years old, and they were coming to our house to in the you know, the advertisement, it said to serenade our house. And so, yeah, I tried to shut that down. I absolutely did. Because I think a line is crossed when you're going to someone's house. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, you know, the whole thing about the packing guns, I mean, I think, you know, again, he just leaves things out. He leaves things out. Like, we had genuine concerns because I don't know if you can see this, but this was posted online on he has a page called the Highland Park Pickers page, or the Lake Forest Pickers page. And so, you know, this was something that we had seen a lot of. So he posted this on the page. Do you see the guns?
Yeah.
And then what he wrote was, due to the recently proposed BLM rally in Lake Forest Market Square, the inherent risk to the community, and the number of local household requests, Lake Forest Pickers will use AR-15s, AK-47s, Thompsons, AR-12s to protect your home. Surprise the bad guys with something they'll never forget should they drop by it for a visit. This was like one of many sort of, you know, things that were posted on this other page that he now has deleted. So I think, you know, anyone would think this guy's coming to your house where your 4-year-old is. He's not taking no for an answer. You know, the police are asking him not to come to my house. He's still saying he's coming to my house and doing what he wants because he has the right to. And then also you couple that kind of a post in with it, and you're going to be concerned for your child. I also have neighbors that have 2 and 3-year-olds. At the time had like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So yeah, we tried to shut that parade down, and we couldn't because we couldn't close the street. And we had undercover police officers on our street, and we had people that I had never met came over to my house and stood in front of my house. Several of my friends came over. And the ironic thing here, and I think that this is the biggest takeaway from all of it, is that the 2 people who came and really stood with us were Trumpers. They were Trump supporters. They were my neighbors and our friends for years. One of them flew a drone over the city to find their parade so they could warn us when they were coming to our street. And the other one was just like, no one's going to come near your family. Like, I'm not going to let it happen. And so, you know, what extremists need there to be like a huge divide. They need us to hate each other. They need us to like liberal, conservative, and they need it. They need it. Because without it, there's no conflict, and there's no purpose at all, you know, for their extremism. So in that moment, when he did that, when he was coming to my house and when all of this was flaring, you had Trumpers defending and protecting a liberal. And I think that that's the takeaway from it. You know what I mean?